Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Thursday community conversation. Joe and I were deciding what we're going to call these things before the stream because, you know, as we've told you all, the Thursdays are just kind of experiments. We've been doing the learning lives. Now we're doing these kind of like community chats. So I don't know. We're gonna start making these a segment, I think, regularly. So we'll rotate between learning and this community segment, and we don't know what we're doing, right? Okay, just keep showing up Thursdays at noon. So what do you think about that strategy, Joe? It's like, quit telling people we don't know what we're doing. We know what we're doing.
Well,
we mostly know what we're doing.
Yeah, mostly. That's the important part. Let's ask the community what we should call this. If we're just hanging out and we're talking, we're going to get some comments, talk about some comments, just hang out for the hour. What is a cool name for this segment? Put some cool names in the comments. We'll probably bring up some of them. And hey, maybe by the end of the show, we have the name for this segment, this open conversation.
Yeah, and we'd like them to just be super casual and, you know, just exactly that, conversations. Actually, at some point, maybe we'll open up like the gather space and people can jump in and maybe join the conversation, or we can pull in guests. Like, we have the ability to pull in guests and stuff. So I don't know. People have also asked us to do interviews and different things. So maybe some of that gets considered inside of here. So anyway, like we do, what's up? Let's say hello to some folks in the comments here. Mark Brutus gets the I posted first. We're going to just, you know, every show, that's it. It's going to be a race to be that first comment. So that's it. We're not gonna say hi to anybody else. It's over. Mark wins the prize, and that's it. Just kidding. Polyglot here. What's up? Zach Bujazia, who just got his F&N Pro membership revoked. Let's see. John Saxon says Zach's Pro membership is immediately revoked. So what's up? Arvind. Eric is here. Hello. Maria. Dale Jensen. Let's get after it. Let's go. Tony. Hello. Man, lots of folks. Okay, hit that like button. There you go. John Matias gets it. Hit the like button, everyone. Nimesh, hello. Eric, hello. Greg Dolan, hello. Tanette is here. Hello, Tanette. Who else is here? Joseph Bates in the house. Rock and Roll CEO in the house. Let's see. Tanette saying, if there's time, can you walk through an example of flex gap compared to grid? Not sure if we covered this in another session. Yeah, we can probably do that at some point today. Mark Brutus, hello from Hereford, England, 11 p.m. here. Whoa. Okay, Jay Aranda, hello, Daniel. Okay, Flow Side Chats. All right. Anshul is saying, Tanette saying F&N Convo, John Saxon saying Thursday, or just go with the flow, the flow show. Yeah. Sweet combo, F&N Sweet combos. There we go. F&N hanging, F&N Sweet community download. All right, Lucas is saying hello, everybody. Flow boating. Okay, F&N talk. I like that. Hey, Chad, first time live. Welcome. Thanks for hanging with us. What's up, Jesse? Let's see. Please don't ignore me. Omkar, I'm here. I'm not ignoring you. What's up, Gabe? Okay. All right. Hello, Penny, Dave, Kevin. Let's get to it. All right. So we're just, go ahead, Joe.
First, I'll say it's nice to see some of the people from yesterday. Yesterday, we had our first Pro members chat. It was a cool hour and 20-minute session. We all introduced ourselves. We talked about what the Pro account is going to get people. And yeah, I feel like half the people are here or more. So nice to see everybody. Again, if you missed this last Pro account hangout, it happens every month on a Wednesday. So next month we will have the next one. We'll probably do some intros for people who are not at the first one, so you're not too late yet. But definitely, it was definitely a cool hangout. So be part of that Pro if you are not already.
Nice. Yeah, and that's a lot of fun. We're really starting to get, really just starting to pick up momentum on that. We talked about accountability groups. We talked about what's coming with some office hours and some different things, and also some sneak peeks on kind of what's happening with the community plan in general. So, okay, so just a couple more things. Legacy Design, hello. Great design lead, hello. Emily, she's saying best lunch break. Grace Walker in the
Nice.
house. Hello. All the Webflow legends are here. Steven, Hilario, Flow Daddies, and Flow Mamas represent. Yeah, we had, if you were out there and you have children, one of the things that came up in the pro conversation was how do you live in this world of Webflow with kids while you're raising kids and trying to do all the things that it takes to be a freelancer or start a business. And so, yeah, that was fun to see, and that's going to start up. I think they're having a meetup already. So like the parents of Webflow Unite is going down in the F and Pro community. I'm sure that will trickle out into lots of other places as it goes. So Mark Brutus is saying, is the Pro Hangout at the same time? We may bounce around with that just to help with different time zones. So I don't know. We have right now the third Wednesday kind of blocked in. But we can change that based on feedback. So and no, these meetups will not be recorded. They're just kind of must be present to win. So Esteban in the house, hello and welcome. So, okay, so let's jump through. Like always, we got a couple disclaimers. First one is that it's still very early in the world of Webflow. So welcome if you're here. If you're early with Webflow, if you're just starting out with Webflow, our first topic, we're gonna like talk about Webflow, what the value proposition is. We're gonna kind of go all over this, maybe through that first beginner's lens, right? If we're talking to this as like somebody who's just approaching Webflow, what is it that you can expect to get out of this? And then we're gonna go in a little deeper. And so as we get deeper in the conversation, it'll get a little more kind of nuanced as we get to like the complexity of what you can do. But yeah, disclaimer number one, super early. You haven't missed anything. I know you may jump on Twitter, you may jump into the showcase, you may see all this stuff happening in the world of Webflow and you're like, oh my God, I can't compete with this. No, don't worry about that. Like just get to work, right? The biggest thing you could do is just plug in, get to work, whether that's becoming a pro, whether that's joining somebody's subscription, following other people on YouTube, whatever it is, just jump in. There's plenty of space to grow with this over the next few years. Joe, any thoughts on that one?
Totally agree. And over the next few years, disclaimer two, it will be more competitive. There will be more people entering the space. More people will find out about this great potential career change that's right in front of them, or just a better way to build websites. And when all of those people come over, a lot more competitive.
Yeah.
So you're not too late. You're earlier than all the people who are going to adopt it next year and the year after and the year after and the year after. And in 5 years, you'll be considered the person that's been on the platform for a long time. Yeah. So we're just getting started.
And it could take you 6 months or a year to break in. Like literally, it's not that like it's not that dense where there's so many people doing just incredibly amazing stuff where you're just like can't stand out. It's not that yet. Okay, so as Stefan's saying, still early. How it sounds like an NFT project. I wish we were pumping Webflow stock or something, and I had some of that in my pocket. So. Let's see. This is a good polyglot saying, first tip, work late and make dark mode a thing. Don't wake mama and the baby. I think that's probably a good tip for all the Flow Daddies and Flow Mamas out there. So, okay. So disclaimers are over. Let's jump into welcome to Webflow. Let's talk a little bit about the general value proposition that, Webflow just makes to its users. Joe, if I'm coming into Webflow for the first time and I'm kind of seeing, this, let me go to the actual homepage. Talk me through a little bit, like what's the promise we're making to the users here? Why are so many people talking about this? Why are so many people migrating? Why is this community exploding like it is? Later here, we're going to talk a little bit about their recent growth. I read this article yesterday on this guy's Substack about Webflow's recent growth. And so we'll talk a little bit about that. But just as a new person, like assume I'm just talk to me like I'm brand new to Webflow. You're explaining what you do to somebody who's just asked you and you're trying to talk to them about Webflow. Like, where do you even start?
Well, I would first start by saying this site was built in Webflow. That's the first thing. What do you do? What does Webflow do? Webflow allows me to build what you're looking at right here. And this is a pretty cool site, right? This is a top quality, super fancy SaaS marketing site. And this was built with Webflow. So if you learn Webflow, you can do this. That's how I would open it up. There's 100 different things you can click into, the resources, the product, the feature this, feature that. You'll get lost in that if you try to do that immediately upon going into it. So see what's possible. And there you go, right into the showcase. What can I do with this platform? I can do these wild websites. I can do these very simple, straightforward small business websites. And look at this, it's beautiful. It's highly unique. So yeah, I think this is where I start seeing what's possible. What else? What are you doing?
Yeah, I think I'm trying to think about like if somebody asked me what's the thing? I think it is just that, like, the prospect of being able to do everything only a front end person can do. For so long, building on the web has been like what you can do with a Squarespace or a WordPress theme or something like that, and you've been limited. Like, you couldn't create some of these like crazy experiences, like, looking at this site, and this is like some kind of open in Webflow. So I can even like, I can even look at this, so I can even go inside of this site. So I think just the ability to do what you might be able to do with front end code, this native ability to do the visual design, the software development of it. Like, I think that visual software development, and I try not to get lost, abstracting, talking too much technically about it. It abstracts the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Basically I'd say it allows someone like me to build things on the web as if I were a front end developer, and so I don't know if anybody else has a better way of explaining that. I'd like to know what the audience thinks about how they explain Webflow to folks. Like, if somebody was brand new, what would you explain it? Obviously, there's full design control. There's the CMS. The problem is I start just blah, 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 and then you start telling all the different things, and you get lost. And the next thing you know, their like eyes are rolling into the back of their head, and they're like stressing out. And then we got to pull up Josh Fry's meme to pretend like we're Jehovah's Witnesses going door to door selling Webflow.
I rarely get into it explaining. I don't say the word HTML. I don't say the word CSS. I don't say the word front end. I think most people you talk to have no idea what front end is. That is a very confusing topic, something they've had zero experience with. So I like to show something, or the verbal way is I'll say, I make websites without code. That's simple. We can write code visually. We can write code visually. That's really the best way to put it, I think.
Yeah.
And just keep it simple. You're right. Once you start getting deep into the specifics, you can scare people away. That's what I do.
Yeah, let's take a look and see the comments here. Let's see. Jeff McAvoy, our resident Webflow tennis pro, saying, if you can imagine it, you can build it in Webflow without having to learn code. I like that. I do like that. The editor is a major selling point. Mustafa, I'd be interested to know how you use that as a selling point. Specifically, our shit, Webflow is love. Nice. Okay. But how do you explain that? It's hard to, like, if you're explaining this to a new person, you just say Webflow is love. They're like, okay, but like, my mama loves me. So is it my mama? So what does that mean? Our shit, go deeper. Justin even saying the appeal for a lot of our bigger clients is that it removes the marketing site from the dev queue. That's probably a good point. And I think this probably goes back to our Points Tuesday, where it's like, depends on who you're talking to, right, Joe? Are you talking to somebody who wants to learn Webflow? Are you talking to your mom? Are you talking to a friend? Are you talking to somebody who wants to build a website? I think that depends on, how technically complex I go, or how I explain Webflow. I think depends on who I'm talking to most of the time.
I always think older aunt. Older aunt, older uncle. Pick one of your least technically savvy relatives and try to explain it to that person. I think the more simple you can explain Webflow, the better at explaining Webflow you are, even when you get into the more complex parts. So that's why I like to keep it super simple. Yeah. But yeah, you have to assume that most people don't know these terms.
They don't know anything about this.
Don't know what Jesse's comment means right there. We know what it means, but other people have no idea.
If I'm deep in a conversation with somebody and they're actually interested, I will try to explain the concepts of like the layers of abstraction. And I'll explain it usually with like the analogy of either videography or like video editing, and talk about the transition from, splicing the footage and doing that manual process and now being able to do it in a digital canvas. And I talk about how Webflow is making that transition in the code world, where it's just opening the thing up to a lot of people. And I can usually have that conversation pretty quickly. So that's an analogy I make all the time. Or also like architects, I talk about, they used to have to hand draft on a big table and make the blueprints all manually, and now they're doing that with all computer aided drafting software. And so very few architects, actually I bet no architects other than just for hobby, are doing any of this stuff anymore. And so usually like those are the kind of conversations I'll have that help people understand like, oh, it's a paradigm shift in an industry. because it's more than just like, oh, it's design control, it's this, it's that. No, it's like this abstraction layer that's happening over top of this big thing that is the internet, this thing that we all touch and like play with all the time. It's allowing people to build those things in a way that hasn't been possible before. And that's where, again, going back to Jesse's point here, it removes it from the dev queue, which is a big benefit for lots of folks. Making little changes, if you got to go through developers, is a nightmare if anybody has worked with that type of setting.
And you can say that may even lead to better features for our favorite products long term. If those developers are not spending 10% of their time on the marketing site, they are spending that 10% building a new feature, doing something better, growing the software that they are working with. So yeah, this is a big shift. There's a much larger layer than just what Webflow as a product is doing.
Yeah, I agree. Christian brings a good point here. Webflow is like the touchscreen smartphones, and the rest still use buttons on phones. I use this analogy a lot as well. The iOS versus BlackBerry. It's the iOS. It's the iPhone before the App Store. Whereas WordPress is BlackBerry. So it's like everyone loves their keyboard until they see eventually what you can do with this touchscreen, and then once they see that, you also happen to open up this App Store, and then everyone can build toys or tools for this new toy. And I think we're pre-toy box for Webflow. I think everyone's kind of sitting around the edges itching to like, when can we build toys for this thing? Like when can we really play and expose that back in and do interesting things? So, okay, let's see. I'm trying to see if there's any other comments coming in. Webflow lets you be yourself on the web. Nice. Okay.
How about this one from Esteban? I love Webflow, but I feel like you need to learn code to use it to its full potential. Well, yes, I think you need to learn the underlying skills of any no-code tool to take it to its full potential. Webflow included, of course. But the great thing about Webflow is you don't have to have those skills.
Yeah.
You don't need to learn how to code in order to use it. If you do know how to code, then yes, you can take everything to the next level, or really to the highest level of your coding ability. Same thing applies for something like Bubble. You can use Bubble with minimal to no backend knowledge, but if you are a backend expert, you are going to be doing things in Bubble that other people wouldn't imagine.
Sure.
So yeah, of course, this is very true.
And I think this is like everything, right? If you're a new person coming into Final Cut, you can probably figure out how to cut and slice a video together. But if you give it to somebody who's been playing with Final Cut for 10 years, they're going to do something way different with that video footage, So I agree. I think Esteban, what you're saying here is true. The more complex you get. And I think Webflow becomes the perfect on-ramp for folks. I actually think Webflow is, we talked about this the other day, it's like the gateway drug for code. Because the more you use Webflow, the more you want to learn about what's happening on the technical back end of things, and the more you want to do what Esteban's saying here, figure out its full potential, because you run up against some of the limitations pretty quickly, and you're like, hey, how do I get past these? How do I do something else here? Which I think is how this goes. Which is probably the perfect segment into our next section, which is why Webflow is better than others. So, we've now hopefully laid the ground floor for you. If you're, fairly new to Webflow, maybe that's a good entrance. Obviously, maybe you've been exploring other things. We're going to take the talk a little deeper here. But what sets Webflow apart from the competition is that design freedom. It's that full flexibility. And I think a lot of people get lost understanding the nuances of that. The ability to clone projects, the ability to have global styles, the ability to customize the interactions fully, how snappy everything is, how precise you can position everything, like the nuance of detail you can build in all these little complex layouts. And, that's the thing where I think, some people look at Wix and they look at things like Oxygen or Elementor and they're like, yeah, it's kind of the same. And it's really not, but if you don't know at a surface level, you might be like, well, why? So Joe, what is the core of these things that really sets it apart? And I'd be interested to know the same thing from the audience too.
I don't want to approach this answer with the features of the platform. I want to approach it with how the end client feels about the platform. Because Webflow could have the greatest features in the world, the most amazing designer platform. But if clients weren't coming to the platform, if companies weren't coming to the platform, if people weren't staying on the platform with their hosted sites, then it wouldn't exist. Nothing would be here. Webflow would not be in business. So Webflow has not only created a great product for us to use, but it's also a great product for companies to use. That's what brings leads to us. That is what's growing the community. And that's what's allowing Webflow to go and roll out new features and do more things with the platform. And it all works in a circle. So I think something core that sets Webflow apart from the competition is the companies using it are so excited about it. We have so many companies come from WordPress and they're just so unhappy with it. Or they're coming really from a lot of other platforms. They're so unhappy with it because changes are expensive, they take a long time, and they're difficult to make. So when they come on Webflow and they're excited about their website, this, I think, is the true difference of other platforms. Other companies are not getting this level of satisfaction as Webflow gives. And that is really I think the core engine that lets everything work.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's the problem or the hard thing that other folks are going to have competing with is that it's that level of like, oh wow, what have I actually done here as a creator? And if you're a business coming from using WordPress, you're like, oh, this is just easier. When you're talking about editing content, Rock and Roll CEO is saying here, the main question I've always been asked is, can I add and delete content myself? I demo the editor, sale half made. So for a lot of people, keeping that website up to date is a hassle. Like it's a lot of work, and that interface sometimes isn't great. And so, let's see, Melissa's saying here, hi, Melissa. Hi, I agree. For companies, Webflow is a game changer. The quality of the final product is unmatched. Being able to build beautiful experiences with excellent quality had never been done before. I think companies are so used to like hiring a great designer, and they design some cool marketing asset and they're like, oh, this is great. And then they want to print it. We're used to maybe printing it or having it in a fixed size or create this little whatever Instagram ad or whatever. And it's beautiful things and all these like emotional experiences. But translating that to the web was never that easy, right? Unless you were just going to take that image and put it onto the web, Instagram, right? Or just paste it as an image on your WordPress site or something else and include that as a blog article. But now Webflow allows you to turn the whole page into that experience, the whole page into that image, the whole thing into this beautiful thing. And you can do it in the same time it might take you to design a nice marketing asset in Figma or Photoshop or whatever tool you use. And so I agree that flexibility is just like, that's the thing that was fuels what you were talking about before, Joe. It's that power that like feeds this reciprocal feedback loop that just is powering, Webflow's explosion, which again, we're going to talk about here in a second.
Webflow gives back time, and you can't really put a value amount on time. And that is something that companies really appreciate. You can pay money, but when you save me time, that's something that sometimes can't be fixed with money, right? In traditional web development, you just can't do things that fast. There is a time requirement, and time requirements can kill companies. They can kill processes. They can kill departments of processes. It's intense. So if you say, hey, you don't have to worry about this, you don't have to worry about this, you get to save time on this, you don't have any dependencies for this, this, and this. This is like raising a weight off your shoulders. And now these companies can move faster, they're more confident, and they have more time. So this is not something that, this starts to get passionate. This is where you start to feel emotion. It's not just a transaction dollar. It is, I feel this improvement. So really important.
Yeah,
really
and Jeff McAvoy talks here, not having to use and update plugins is such a huge benefit. I think this will change over time, but I also don't think the experience will be anything like the WordPress environment right now. I think plugins and Webflow will follow the same kind of update structure that Webflow has, where the updates just happen and things are good, and at some point you might have to update like a new version of the software or whatever. But I think compatibility and worrying about plugins breaking sites and things like that will just, like very rarely do you open an app on your iPhone and it just doesn't work, or it breaks your phone anymore. It just doesn't happen. In the early days, sometimes, you see some hacky apps sometimes, and you'd be like, oh, what's this thing doing? Is this thing spying on me? Is this thing injecting SMS or whatever? So like, sure, like early on, maybe it's gonna be a little crazy, but as this thing goes, I don't think it's gonna be anything like WordPress. I don't think it's gonna be anywhere near as chaotic and unstable. And what, going back to Joe, what you were saying, giving people their time back. So, Tony, take this one, Joe.
Tony says, Webflow simplifies high-quality, fast, scalable websites and removes the I can't make simple changes on my own limitation for clients, making my life and theirs better. Yeah, that's exactly correct. Clients hearing and understanding that they can make small edits by themselves is usually game-changing in their mind.
Yeah.
Right? A lot of people don't believe it at first. You're telling me I can go on this page, edit it like a Google Doc, press this button, and now it's live on the page? This is unheard of in traditional web development. So yeah, this is true.
And there's some experiences like it in Webflow or in WordPress. I do know that. I do know there's some like front end you can edit, very similar like Webflow-ish experiences from the front end, but it's not as seamless. It's again, because it's built on WordPress, so there's like either a theme or something else managing this on top of WordPress. And so there's always some little glitch. It's never perfect. You're never getting the exact same look. It's not anything, again, like Webflow. It's similar. There's things that are close, but Webflow is for sure doing things a little bit just more refined and design oriented and a little more crispy than some of the competition. And I think that shows off in the product. That again goes back to a lot of us are designers or have some kind of visual aesthetic or desire. We're marketers, we're salespeople. We want these things to kind of pop. We want this stuff. This stuff's important to us. In the digital world, that stuff's super important to the credibility of the product, to your ability to launch successful products, to your ability to monetize that online presence. All those things matter. And so, anyway, Ole Hansen saying, I'm 50 and 2 years again. I hadn't made a website ever. Now I'm making my own travel website. Wouldn't have been possible without Webflow. Go, nice. Yeah, go you.
Great.
Nick Jones, I'm 19 minutes late, 19 minutes dumber. Don't worry, there's a DVR feature. You could just hit the rewind and catch up, or you can put it on play. I'm telling you, go get the podcast. The Evan Growth podcast is available. Everyone here just needs to go put that on play at night, and you're just going to by osmosis, just let this soothing voice take you to sleep, and you'll wake up smarter in Webflow. I'm just saying. We'll do timed countdowns. We'll start doing meditations at the end of the stream to help people sleep.
I like that. We get the gong in here. Little bit Zen mode. I can see that.
You can take this one, Joe.
Sarkis, thanks for everything, guys. Much love to the Finsweet team and Webflow family. So much magic being created today. Thank you, Sarkis. I appreciate that. Thanks for coming.
Yeah. If you didn't see, Sarkis just released, what is it? Proto. Let's see if my just because it was super dope and it's built with client first, we'll give him a little bit of love here. This Protocore Studio, I believe, he rebuilt the iOS or Mac interface here. And
super
it's
cool.
Yeah, go explore that. All built with client first. So just a very unique experience. He's always out there pushing the limits of what you can do with Webflow. So go check that out. Shout out to Sarkis. And let's see, Melissa's following up here. Exactly, the designs always came out perfect, and then the dev looked horrible. So going back to that translation layer, which is really frustrating. And that's what Melissa's saying here. For designers, that's heartbreaking. And for business owners, even worse. Yeah, imagine you're a designer and you think you're delivering this amazing product to the customer. The customer's super excited, and then it goes to dev and you get something back that looks like some amateur put it together because your proportions are off and the spacing doesn't match. And you're like, what the hell happened here? And it's like, well, you got to shrink your monitor and like you look at it in the perfect size. No, that's not how it's supposed to work. I need to be able to make these responsive, nuanced adjustments because we're not living in a fixed pane world anymore. We're living in vertical and horizontal canvases, square, and all sorts of portrait mode and all sorts of different things. So yeah, I agree, having the ability to do that. And I'm seeing here that Melissa's comments were not updating on screen. There we go.
There have been a few migration projects that we've done at Finsweet that they wanted the migration, but they also sent the original design files because they said the design files are probably what you want to follow. They're more accurate. The development wasn't done that well. So we have the develop site to be moved to Webflow. We have the design files. Design files look great, and that dev just doesn't implement them correctly. I mean, imagine writing a whole site by hand. That is, not everybody can do that. And if you hired somebody or somebody works at the company that can't do that, it really hurts the design, which I know companies pay a lot of money for, and it's sad to see that.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Bull Shark Creative is saying that Webflow allows me to better utilize my developers' time on more advanced tasks, reducing development costs substantially, and no more debugging WordPress code conflicts. Yeah. Yeah. I remember doing WordPress maintenance on stuff, and I would sell maintenance contracts, but I wasn't a developer, so sometimes like all the maintenance I could do was restore a backup. So most of the time, anyone called me for maintenance, I was like, yeah, I got this. We have 24-hour backups. You're going to lose whatever work you did today. Just FYI. But we're going to get the website up immediately. And it's hard sometimes if you don't have that technical ability to go in and do certain things inside of WordPress. Which again, WordPress is a super powerful tool. We never mean to diminish it. It's just big and it's got lots of technical debt, and it's not the right tool in the no-code space if what you're looking to do is some of this visual design stuff, which is where Webflow becomes so powerful, which is really what the conversation is all about today. So, let's see. I see what Webflow has done similar to Uber or Airbnb. It has opened a new way of doing things on the web. I can see a Webflow for email design, video editing, etc. coming soon, if not already there. Okay.
Maybe as in a platform that's so important that it has that type of change for email design or video editing.
Yeah.
Okay. Email design may be a little too specific there.
Yeah.
Video editing, I don't know anything about that, but yeah, that's it's an interesting comment. I don't know exactly how to respond to that.
Yeah, I think you had me at I see what Webflow has done similar to Uber, Airbnb. I think in the context where it's opening up a new market, it's opening the web to a whole different user group. Like people who drive on Airbnb or I'm sorry, on Uber or rent their place on Airbnb probably never thought they were going to be in the short-term rental business or maybe a taxi driver. And so in that context, it gave people the ability to earn income and maybe creatively use resources that they had at their disposal in a way to make money. But I also think it's completely different in the context that like you don't set your price, right? In Airbnb, there's a gatekeeper between you and all the money, and there's somebody who like, I don't know, like there's an arbiter. Like when I come and use Uber, there's a customer that's spending money through Uber, and then there's a driver who's driving for Uber, and Uber's like the middleman in this marketplace. In the Webflow world, that's not the case, right? Like my clients don't come through Webflow. Webflow doesn't bill or invoice my clients. I manage the client relationship. So I'm not sure. I don't know. It's an interesting point. There might be a good discussion in there, but who knows? Let's see. Take that one, Joe.
Charlie, I see maintenance work in Webflow as still really moving the needle for marketing teams. It's not about all this back-end crap that doesn't really help them, and that's super exciting to me. Yeah, totally. The marketing team manages the marketing content, they manage the marketing plan, and they do not care about the technical stuff. So why put all that technical stuff inside the project specs? It's not needed. So yeah, marketing teams want to manage the marketing site like marketers. Developers want to manage their products and their development infrastructure like developers. Keep them separate.
Yeah.
I totally agree, Carly.
Jeff McAvoy is saying, do you think Webflow will create a new market for designers / developers, people who can do both? Yes. We talk about this as front end as a service. It's a whole industry, I think, that's being born right in front of us. I don't know. I haven't really Googled or searched about that. I should probably write something about that so that I can claim the search ranking, because I think in a couple years, people will be talking about front end as a service everywhere. I think, and Webflow will have led the way in that regard, that it allowed people to connect, especially this is where I think when the plugins open up, that every big SaaS company is just going to build a Webflow plugin. They just will. Like
Yeah.
Salesforce, MailChimp, like everybody will just build the Webflow plugin, just like they have WordPress plugins. Like go look at all these things. They all have WordPress plugins. They're itching. They're chomping at the bit. Then maybe they don't even care because Webflow's not on their radar yet. But for the ones who are, trust me, they're chomping at the bit to have something that's kind of like a WordPress plugin, but for Webflow, where they can take the stuff that's happening on their end and deliver it into a usable way for folks like us, designers, developers, to just manipulate that on screen. So any thoughts there, Joe?
Yeah, I totally agree with the front end as a service, and that plugin marketplace being massive. And I think you'll get to a point where you will see your Webflow site with a bunch of different features added onto it natively inside the platform. And then you think about, hey, what is Webflow actually doing for me? They are providing the best front end experience to use all of these applications that I want to use. So yeah, I see it going. You got to write that article.
We're just going to do
pull this tag.
We're going to need to do a stream. We'll do a stream on it. We'll just transcribe it.
Yeah, nice.
The articles take so long. It's so hard anymore. Geronimo, what's up? Welcome. Hello. John Saxon saying podcast comes in clutch in the car. Great to hear that.
Nice.
I've actually been going back and listening. I've been doing a lot of walking / running recently, and I've been listening to them on my walks and runs, just kind of critiquing the old episodes or thinking about what we might need to bring back into the show. And every once in a while I play it, and yeah, it's go subscribe. Go just do it just for the stats, okay? Just like you like the video. First of all, how many people? 46? Come on, 46 likes. That's it.
Yeah, 73
we
watching.
quit, Joe. Come on, we're out of here.
Yeah, we need 60 in 5 minutes.
We're just gonna go dark. We're just gonna go clear until we get more likes. That's it. The screen's over. It's over. We're striking. Okay, Edgar is saying, hey, thanks to Webflow, I was able to concentrate my studies more on project fundamentals like UX, audience goals, A/B testing, SEO, and more. Nice, yeah.
Yep, spend more time on other things. Albert says, my client's mind was blown away when I told him and showed him that he could add cars to the CMS using the editor. He has a car dealership website, and I built it for him. That's cool. That's really powerful. That is a perfect example of that end client, the person that's paying Webflow, being extra excited about the platform, telling the friends about the platform, and now opening positions for more developers to go into the platform. And it all starts with the client adding those cars.
Yeah, and this may or may not be some foreshadowing, but we haven't even thought about the industries that'll be born around helping people get content into Webflow, right? There's always going to be a little bit of a technical hurdle to get into Webflow because of what you're doing with it. And I talk about this all the time, where the reason Facebook and Twitter became more popular than WordPress, even though WordPress was out earlier, was because it simplified the process of taking your ideas out of your head and putting them out on the internet in a way that you could share it with other people. And so WordPress always had like a steep technical curve to that. You had to set up a server, and then you had to install a theme, and then you had to blog. Whereas with Facebook or Twitter, you just came and you updated your content, and boom, you're off to the races. So, there was always this like hurdle to kind of get into this space. And so we don't even know yet what's going to happen as people, just like Webflow's abstracting the complexity of building for the web. What happens when you make it easier for people to socially send content into something that people have built for the web, right? So collaborative websites, things like we've talked about this Patreon and Substack. Like what happens when instead of building your own Substack, there's 50 people building a shared Substack, and that Substack is a Webflow site that they're all contributing to. And so there's cool things, I think, coming inside of this world of Webflow that we haven't even seen use cases for because we're so focused on just building websites with Webflow. I think as more people come into this and as more people see these tools in a creative way that are not coming at it from a traditional web development standpoint, we'll just see new opportunities to say, hey, we can use these abstractions in really creative ways online that are not necessarily building the guts of a website. And so maybe they'll come and grab all these clone components. Maybe they'll come and grab things and assets that we build, and they'll do something completely crazy with those abstractions in a way that we haven't seen. And that's invention that I think is coming that I don't even know how to tell you about because we just don't even know what that looks like. So I don't know, Joe, any thoughts on theoretical industries that might be born around the edges of this thing as it develops?
There will be a lot of them. Just like if you look at the WordPress industry, there are all different verticals coming out of that. Different things in hosting, different things in tracking, in plugins, in server infrastructure. It's there's so many of them.
Yeah.
And with Webflow, I really think that there will be this business in a box type concept. You've brought this up so many times, and that's the first thing that comes to my head. This idea that you can start a whole business right in Webflow. You can put all of your services in here together. And once you start doing that, there'll be so many services that want to integrate with that, that want to be a part of that. So yeah, it's coming.
Yeah.
Finsweet, we're trying to be an early adopter on the product side. That's what attributes is. This is an abstraction of functionality that you can put on Webflow, but instead of writing the code, it's a system that uses attributes, which is more native and more friendly to Webflow. So more people will do that. More people will create even more when Webflow releases the marketplace. And yeah, I don't think it will ever stop. I don't think the growing of the marketplaces around Webflow will ever stop.
Yeah.
It's an amazing thought.
Yeah, and again, think about in the world of WordPress, there are ecosystems that are bigger than Webflow. Like we all like to talk about how much better this is than that or whatever, but the number of people using Elementor or the number of people using certain plugins or add-ons is bigger than Webflow's total user base. And so I think we need to keep that stuff in context that and a lot of those things grew out of, again, providing tools that turned this early blogging tool into the next thing. And that will all happen inside of the world of Webflow as this stuff advances. You're seeing already early adopters come out with some of that. Obviously, we here at Finsweet are doing that with attributes, but you're seeing lots of people experiment with tools and things and around the edges. And it's, almost daily, weekly, you're seeing some kind of new thing pop up. And so I think, again, what were our disclaimers at the beginning? It's still early, but the space is going to get super competitive moving forward, So start working now. Every minute you wait, every hour you wait, every day you wait is doubly hard to get in,
Totally agree. Let's bring up a comment from Tanet here.
Yep.
Webflow plugins scare me. That element is such a mess in WordPress. I think it could dilute the power and cohesiveness of Webflow. Tanet, Webflow plugins would only scare me if Webflow did them completely wrong. If they completely messed up this marketplace system and things didn't work, things broke all the time, the integrations didn't work, that's when it's a mess. But I really think that Webflow is going to be very careful about this, and I think there's going to be a high quality assurance check for each of these applications. So yes, it may be scary, but I am putting my confidence in Webflow to do it the right way, and in that case, it's not scary.
Yeah.
And Tanet, let me paint a picture for you. You're building a site, and the client says, "Oh yeah, I forgot. We're using HubSpot now. Not part of the specs, not part of anything, but hey, we're using HubSpot now. We need it. We're launching in 2 weeks." We've all been here. Imagine being able to go in Webflow, clicking the HubSpot button, and now you get these extra fields inside Designer that lets you go directly into that client's HubSpot account and send this information where it needs to go. And something that may require code or an HTML embed or something of an hour work may now take 5 or 10 minutes. So could be scary if they don't do it right. But if they do it right, I think it's just going to make everybody's life easier.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, let's go back to some of the comments here. Frank Drolet is saying, is Finsweet exporting code and using tools like Udesly, or you're working only with Webflow hosted sites? Joe, I'll let you take that one.
We are not exporting code. We are not using Udesly. We build all of our client sites on Webflow hosted sites. It's usually a requirement for us. I mean, I think 100% of our projects, it's a requirement for us. We don't want to export. We don't think that that's what Webflow is for. You can do it. We have done it for our own internal tools. We've built some internal products, internal services that would be better exported. but that's because we're managing it. But we wouldn't do that for somebody else. So yeah, Webflow hosted all the way. And anytime a client comes to us asking for export or something like this, we recommend against it. And we even say we're not going to move forward with this project if you decide to do it, because we really believe that Webflow is for hosting Webflow. Here are all the things that you will lose with this. CMS. When you say that, the conversation's over. They're like, oh, wait, I can't have the CMS on an exported site? And that is, they either go Webflow hosted or they don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Christian Schmidt, what do you mean with front end as a service? I think we should do a whole episode on this, huh?
Sure.
So think about what software as a service is. Webflow is a software as a service. HubSpot is a Webflow as a software as a service. And what these means is you don't have to build the software to use their tools, right? You pay them a license fee or an instance fee or a subscription fee to these services, and you use their software as if it were yours, right? And so Webflow, you pay them a monthly fee to use the designer, to use the editor, and to use their hosting. That is their software as a service. When I talk about front end as a service, I talk about us as designers or people as designers, let's say a template creator or something like Reloom, creating interfaces that then people are using to display the software from software as a services. So you may, in a year or two, want to start some kind of marketplace, or you're a small business and you want to start a restaurant, but you don't want to go through Bite Squad or Uber Eats or something for food. You may come to Webflow and find the template maker who's built the coolest restaurant thing. And that restaurant thing is not just going to be a template anymore. It's going to be a full business system. It's going to be a system for your menu. It's going to be a system for ordering online. It's going to be a system for logging in and all these different things. And it's going to be a software as a service through Webflow, right? So Webflow is going to be backing this thing, but you as a front end person are going to be kind of compiling the front end of these things, connecting it to all these other SaaS platforms and building these front ends for folks as a service. And so as this industry evolves and more creators and designers and people start building these front end tools and then creating clonables outside of that or productizing those designs, you will see something that I've termed front end as a service, which I think will fill that gap of people just kind of connecting, using all these no-code tools to connect front ends for folks, again, as some kind of productized service. So that's what I mean when I talk about that. Gabe, if you're listening, cut that out as a clip.
Transcript, blog post.
That's right. Polyglot is, I think, let's see, backend is the traditional coding part, so front end as a service would be someone you hire that does design and development of the website. So yeah, kind of answering the question there, I think. Eric, you want to take this one, Joe?
Eric says, does anybody have plans on what you're going to do when memberships come out? I'm thinking about building all-in-one site software for gyms that allow them to manage everything, if possible. Well, this is really similar to what you just explained, Reimar, that you will be able to build a business, a process, not just the website, a process, and then sell that to gyms. I don't know what memberships will have. I don't know how long it will take for you to be able to do that, Eric. Maybe you're able to build a simple system when it first launches. Maybe you can build exactly what you want when it first launches. We don't know what memberships will have. But yeah, it's a good plan and it's a good thought, because I think this trend is going to happen, this business in a box mindset.
Well, and let's take the front end as a service concept a little bit further with this exact example. Imagine if instead of building one website for a gym, you just decide, fuck it, I'm going to build 5 different versions of websites for gyms, and I'm going to start a business that just sells websites for gyms. And now you create a whole specialty business that's just Webflow for gyms. And next thing you know, you got 1,000 gyms paying you $500 a month or whatever it is for this backend that you're just running for Webflow, and you're paying 10 or 15 bucks a month to outsource that. And the rest of that time, the rest of that service is your design, your component library, your ability to say, hey, we're going to add this feature for gyms because we got this new access to a thing. And now you have this whole library of stuff that uses Webflow to build these visual software stacks for people like gyms or restaurants or whoever it is. And so these are going back to what industries or what type of businesses will be born around the edges. That's it. That could be a whole vertical, and then next thing you know, you could outgrow Webflow at some point, and maybe you're building your own CMS just for gyms, and a whole vertical grows, right? Like that's how things like this happen. And so I would imagine over the next 10 years, we'll see lots of that. 5 to 10 years, we'll see tons of whole industries, verticals grow out of this type of product arrangement. And that's, again, going back to what I call front end as a service. Any other questions you're seeing? There's so many. I'm just trying to process them all.
Yeah, there's a lot. Jeff says, please, front end as a service. It sounds awesome, and I'd love to hear more about it.
Where is it?
Yeah, I think we will do that. Jeff McAvoy, somewhat recent comment.
Okay.
Maybe we can write that in for next Thursday. Oh,
we have
next Thursday we're doing something else.
Yeah, we're doing a Stripe episode next Thursday. So if you're watching and you're interested in following up on the client billing stuff, next week we're talking. We're going to show you how to build some Stripe payment links and how to maybe migrate that. The week after, we're going to be on with Aaron Kornblit. Actually, we'll be on with Aaron Kornblit for both episodes. But the week after on his channel, we'll do one that then shows you how to manage maybe all those payment links in Airtable. So we'll build the payment links and kind of show you how you can do that in Stripe this next Thursday. And then the week after that with Aaron, we'll show you how to manage some of those inside of Airtable.
But we will do front end as a service somewhere.
Soon. I think soon, because we've talked about that a lot. I think a whole episode dedicated to front end as a service would be cool. And also from Jeff, he says, you write it, I'll read it. I'm going to take the moment to promote. If you're interested in reading a little deeper into the philosophy of thought, I have this little thing called The Creator's Lie that you can check out, creatorslie.webflow.io. Just goes into some of the deep thoughts of how I think we as creators and in this digital economy can just work to do some of the change some of the incentives and some of the negatives of what's coming with some of the online publishing stuff. So if you're really interested, go check that out. Yeah, dig deep.
Reimar has a deep past of writing, and I'm surprised. I think only one written post, one official written post for Finsweet. So if you want to read from Reimar, say it.
Yeah.
Bug him about it. Tweet at him.
Yeah. One of the things I am considering is like a not Webflow related stream that gets into stuff like that, where we can talk a little bit about different things. And this is cool. I've been writing for a long time. I just haven't really published for a long time. So I have a huge library of stuff. There's so much talking and we do so much stuff in the world of Webflow that a lot of times writing about it, I tend to write about other things.
Nice.
But yeah, would like to find a channel for that. So maybe that's coming soon on my personal YouTube channel. Okay. DMCO saying here, Democo, I'm not sure. Hi guys, I'm trying to filter my products. Oh yeah, we probably can't support this on the show right now.
Yeah, Democo, please go check out the Slack channel, the support channel that's going to get you set up with somebody that should be able to help you out.
Yeah, nice. Okay, here you go.
Albert, what most do not realize is that no-code movement is not a shift in the direction of the tech industry, but a normal turn. Webflow is just a milestone. Microsoft started it 30 years ago. Okay. Interesting comment.
He could be talking about like the idea of, spreadsheets and, abstracting and even just, basic interfaces,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is just something that was bound to happen anyway.
Yeah.
This is not a change. Okay. Yeah, it's an interesting comment. I like that, Albert.
There you go, Joe. I'll let you take this one.
Bashar asks, does Finsweet have a plan to create plugins when Webflow allows this? Absolutely, yes. We will be highly active in whatever Webflow offers us. So if Webflow says, hey, this is the system, this is what we're going to do, we are going to jump on that system as soon as possible.
Yeah. Okay. And yeah, I think that's what you're seeing with attributes there. That's what you're seeing with some of these experimentations is us really just, I think,
We're preparing.
we're pushing. You
Yeah,
know, like I think a
we
lot
are.
of times we're like we're beating at them with a stick a little bit because we're pushing the limits of what's possible, and they're like, "Hey, we're not ready for that yet." And so, you know, but this is good. This is what happens in a growing ecosystem, right? This is what you want to see, and this is how you know it's becoming an ecosystem is when other things are thriving in spite of what you're trying to do or outside of the core model, right? So Webflow is the core business model, and so for it to be a valid ecosystem, there needs to be lots of partners creating economic, churn and stimulus and things around that, right? And so I think this is just a good sign of growth that people are starting to explore and do some of this stuff even before it's available.
Totally. And oh, I just saw one. Hey guys, how did you implement the lion in your website? Well, this was done with 3JS. The lion is the lion object file is even hosted on Dropbox. It is, yeah, it's a 3D setup. It's actual 3D. Now we are working on a much updated version
Can
of
we
this.
show them? Can we show them? Can we show them?
No, we cannot show them. Absolutely not. What did you think I was going to say?
Of course you're going to say no, but I got to still fight. Every time, just so y'all know.
Yeah.
Every time he even mentions it, I'm like, when can we show him? He's like, shut up, Reimer.
We're working on the next level of 3D. This was cool. I'm glad we did it. But now
Ruh-roh. Looks like Joe froze a little bit there. I'm wondering if his give him a second, usually gets back on. No worries. So I think what he was going to say is that we're working on some really cool stuff for the new Finsweet website and that we're excited to share that with you soon. Maybe now that he's gone, I can pull it up and show you. Let's see if we get to 100 likes. Maybe we'll do that before he gets back. Okay, let's see. I'm already on there, but I'll go check it out. You're doing a great job. Cool. Nick Jones, I need a bumper sticker that says "Don't WordPress my Webflow" next to "Don't Dallas my Austin." Okay, like that. Tony Seats, if Webflow runs a marketplace or works with integration partners like Apple and iPhone, it won't turn into a WordPress mess like a stock. Yeah, iPhone versus jailbreak one for sure. Let's see. Great. Do you know when Webflow can open up the plugin marketplace? Very excited for this. It's just it's a guess. It's a total guess. We don't know. Like we don't have any inside knowledge on this. As far as we know, it's just an assumption that they're working on it. We know that they're working to open up the back end. We know that they're working to improve the CMS API and some things because they've talked to us about that. But they've also talked about that publicly to folks. So let me see. Joe's saying he's here, but I don't see him in the back. Joe, can you refresh in the control room if I see it trying to come in. Felix says, please, I'll double like. Says, show us Rymar. Joe is not here. I don't know. I think, let's see, we're only at 69 likes. So Lucas Machado, curious for the next Finsweet website after watching Joe's interview talking about how long it's taking. Yeah, I'm telling you, it's going to be so wild. I've seen the designs, I've seen the 3D objects, and I've seen, kind of how that stuff looks. Oh, let me hide it right now because here's Joe. Joe, I told him if we got to 100 likes while you were gone, I was going to show them the new site. Give me 1 second. I'm not sure you're actually in here yet. Come on, yo. Oh, it's not working. It's not letting me pull you in. I'm not sure how to fix that actually, without like stopping and starting the stream, which probably doesn't make sense here at the end. Yeah, try to reload. Okay, Lucas Machado, FS Pros could be able to watch a behind the scenes making of that. Yeah, yeah. We might do some teas. Joe, don't come back until we get there. He is. All right, there's Joe. Great. Okay. Dave is saying, I have one Webflow site live. I want to change design, but also change content on current live site. Is that possible? Yeah, everything's possible. You just have to update the content and then the design. If what you're talking about is you may need to duplicate pages or recreate pages, because if what you're talking about is having a live site and make changes while you're like still having that live site, what you might need to do is leave the live site separate, change out the staging site, and then make whatever changes you need on the staging site and then publish that to live. However, that means you won't be able to publish other than individual articles as you're going, because then you would push all your edits live. So the other thing you could do is maybe duplicate the site, make all the changes, and then, you know, one night, late at night, you just flip everything over, change the hosting, et cetera, kind of thing. Remap the URLs, et cetera, to a new instance. So 2 options there, either duplicate it or use the staging functionality. Any other thoughts on that, Joe?
Nope, that sounds right. I missed the beginning of the question, but yeah, that's how I would do it.
Okay, let's see. When were the no code conf tickets available last year? Any word when that will be announced to net? I don't know.
I don't know.
The conference was in November, but I don't remember when they announced them.
No.
I think it was only a couple months ahead of it, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Okay, I think we're coming to a close here.
Yeah, we didn't.
We some great comments.
Yeah, we didn't get to talk about this little article here. I'll share the link in the comments. I read this the other day. It was an interesting read. A little kind of like my eyes glazed over a little bit at certain parts because it's like using all this like super marketing lingo, you know. And it's like I don't know, it's well written, but it got lost in some of it. But it was interesting to see that their talk about where they've grown, you know, 100 million annual recurring revenue, 200,000 customers, a $4 billion valuation. Let me see if we can zoom in here for folks. 120 million in fresh funding. And so so it was just interesting to see how they grew. And I highlighted some points of this. One of the things I thought was interesting to point out was how critical the community growth was to part of it, but that the community was just something they kind of was like an afterthought when they were building the product. Bryant and co-founder Sergey Magdalene spun up a discourse account only hours before Webflow opened up its beta. So it's interesting. And then it goes on to talk here about the showcase and how important that showcase and clonable assets and the community building and creating these assets was to their growth over time, the SEO impact, you know, more than 1 million designers and 100,000 assets in the showcase now, which leads to significant long tail SEO keyword juice. So I don't know, there's lots of interesting points in this article talking about the growth and how it was product-led growth. It talks about scaling the sales team. So there's probably enough in here to do a full episode about this. But I thought it was worth sharing and talking about. But again, we don't have a whole lot of time today. So
nice.
A lot more time.
Yeah, and I think these work. I think these open conversations work.
Yeah.
I want to thank everybody that is being so active in the comments, asking questions, commenting on the show. This just shows that people are into talking about Webflow.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's exciting for me.
Well, I teased those analytics yesterday. I don't know. Should we do this? Should we just pull up the guts? Because we did. It was 24 hours from the live stream Tuesday. So we stream every Tuesday and Thursday. It was about 24 hours after the stream yesterday that I was looking at the stats for the stream, and the video only had about 684 views, you know, which isn't a crazy amount of views, but it had 170, was it minutes or hours of watch time, which was like a whole week's worth of time, you know. So people, while maybe we're not getting the craziest views, you know, just seeing the amount of engagement and the watch time that we're getting on these videos, is encouraging. Hearing from you all encourages us, so when we get the little messages, when we get the little, shout outs like this right here, Tony, all heart for Finsweet, no shade intended, greatness takes time. We appreciate that. So yeah, anything you can do, join the pro account, like the video, subscribe to the channel, share this with a friend. If you get value out of working with the extension, turn somebody else onto it. If you build something cool with attributes, share about it on Twitter and let people know that you built it with client first attributes. Like, that's the biggest thing you could do for us right now. That would really help. So we appreciate all that. And it seems like people are chanting for leaks. I think y'all couldn't even get us to 100 likes to show you the new Finsweet design. So you know what? I don't know about leaks, Joe. We might have to make them work for the leaks. leak.
Yeah, I think there was enough positive comments. I think it works. Okay. Yep. So the new feature we're looking at, or we're testing now, is the ability to create a table of contents from rich text. So you will be able to, let's say, have a blog post or any type of rich text or multiple rich text blocks and automatically generate a table of contents. Think a left sidebar, fixed left sidebar as you're scrolling through the content page, generate your H2s, H3s, H4s, all that scroll to the right place and all that maintain their active state. And it will be all automatic. There's very few attributes that have to be applied to the page to make this happen. So that's awesome. We needed to build this for the client first docs. We are massively rewriting the client first docs, everything going really well, and we need this feature. So we put a priority on it with attributes. It's now built for the docs, and we will release it as a public feature. Really powerful. I know a lot of clients ask for this, and you have to give them this really confusing answer about why you can't exactly do it. So now, hopefully, those days are over.
Nice. Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, I mean, even for that little site I just showed, even for this, as I make this is all manually. This would be cool if this was all self-generated, by just creating these rich text elements. One of the things, this is a template that I created, so if anybody wanted to go and clone this thing, but it would be cool to have that kind of auto-generate. And at one point I was going to turn this into a CMS driven thing. So maybe that's the way to do it.
Nice. Yeah, that's going to be really useful. I'm excited to see what people do with that.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool.
Well, that's it. Oh, that's effing sweet. Nice. Phew, I've been doing this manually for a client. It's a mess. Nice. Whoa. All right. Yeah, table of contents place, but this would be robust, right? Sounds super slick. Would have saved Reinhardt some time for the creator's live. That's funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
Be still my beating heart. That's good for Google SEO. There you go. There you go. All right. Well, helpful for my medical clients that have the world's longest content pages. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll probably get to 100 likes at some point on this video. If you're watching in the future, all these comments still count to you. Don't think just because you're not watching us live, we're not talking to you. We're talking to you too. Okay. So future you, also like the video, also subscribe, and also be here every Tuesday and Thursday at 12 p.m. Eastern time. I feel like we're finally truly catching our groove on these streams. The consistency has been way up. I think the watch time's been way up. We'll keep pushing the limits and we'll keep showing up as long as you do. So, Joe, any final thoughts?
That's it for me. Thanks for everybody coming here. See you on Tuesday.
Oh, they hold up. Maybe not. We didn't settle on a Thursday name.
Oh, we did not. I didn't like any of the names.
I know.
I thought there were some good ones,
Try harder.
creative ones, but
why aren't you guys more creative? It's your fault. Like the video, they'll revoke your pro membership. That's it. Exactly. We're gonna build a tracking algorithm that tracks your effing pro engagement on YouTube, and there's a minimum engagement level to maintain membership. Okay. Catch y'all later. See y'all Tuesday, Thursday. For forever. There's no getting away. Bye. And we're out.